I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the News du Jour, a calmer space to consume the news. It's Friday. Hallelujah. I'm so glad we made it. I have had the best week ever, and yet I'm still super tired and totally ready for the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but we actually do have a ton of news to go over for today, so let's go ahead and get into it so you can start your weekend completely informed. First up, Ukraine aerial attacks killed 9 people yesterday as Russia carried out its biggest attack in weeks. They hit apartment buildings, you guys. This is not new, but it's still super disappointing and heartbreaking. The army isn't hiding in a residential building. They were looking to hit civilians. Republicans are also taking a deeper look at the lab leak theory. Starting now, a House panel began this Wednesday to really take on that job, but they're already realizing how difficult it may be to provide solid evidence that proves their theory. China's lips are sealed on this topic, and at the end of the day, that's where the evidence would have to come from. So stay tuned on that. And last for our mini stories today, this is super awkward, you guys. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders was Trump's original White House press secretary, and she went on to become the governor of Arkansas. And she did so with the help of an endorsement from former President Trump. Trump gave her his stamp of approval and she won. But now the tables are turned and she is actually not planning to stand with the former president that she once worked for, which, I say seems because reportedly she was asked directly to endorse him and she hasn't. Crickets. So it is super awkward and actually a pretty radical move if you think about it, because no matter what, she has Trump on her resume. She worked in his administration, but she's distancing herself anyway, and that is not unlike many other former Trumpers. Speaking of the president and the White House and all of that, Biden's budget came out yesterday as predicted, and Biden proposed a big budget that would do 2 things at once: further his agenda key points and reduce national debt by $3 trillion. And long story short, he has a stacked agenda with this budget, childcare and things of that nature, that most of them are directed at helping, average Americans with things they are looking to pay for. And all of that would be paid for by raising taxes on Americans making over $400,000 a year, as well as a myriad of other sort of tweaks like capital gains increases for people making more than $1 million a year, closing loopholes on certain areas of tax law that help people evade paying their taxes. This proposed budget stands no chance of getting through the House of Representatives, though, and that's super important to understand because the House of Representatives is controlled by the Republicans right now, and there's no way they're going to approve this budget. But as Cher from Clueless put it with her grades, this is a jumping off point to start negotiations. But really, there will be back and forth on this, and both parties will be trying to serve their own agendas, and the ultimate passed version will be somewhere in the middle. Biden let us know that this was coming, though, with his State of the Union address, where he said, quote, "No billionaire should be paying lower tax rates than a school teacher or a firefighter," end quote. So he made it very clear from that State of the Union address that this was something he's going to be taking on, and he's making good on that promise. And for our next story today, I do have to issue a content warning here at the top. This story involves disaster-related deaths. So tragically, with more extreme precipitation on the way, it is reported that at least 12 people have died in California due to the snowfall and sort of related circumstances. Michelle Hackey is one example of this. You see, she was snowed in for days in Big Bear, California by the lake, but she had medical needs. And when her family couldn't get to her, she died alone before emergency services could reach her. Some of the other reported deaths were similar, with someone becoming trapped in a medical emergency in the snow. But others were traffic related, lack of heat, lack of food, etc. But like we mentioned, there is now another atmospheric river headed towards California. And this will essentially drop warm water onto the existing snow there. So going to be super bizarre. Local forecasters are worried about structural damage and flooding. We can only hope that these heavy rains and snows will help to replenish the area's water supplies and prevent fires this summer. If you live in Southern California, be sure to tune in to your local weather channels for instructions. And lastly, for today, I have to let you guys know that Mitch McConnell has been hospitalized. So Mitch McConnell, the leader of Republicans in the Senate, has been hospitalized. He reportedly fell during a private dinner and suffered a concussion. McConnell is 81 years old, and more than that, he had polio as a child, and he's always carried a bit of a limp ever since. This has caused a number of falls throughout the years. It's just, part of living with a chronic condition. But he is a super hardworking guy who was putting in the hours when the fall went down. So I'm sure he is chomping at the bit to get back at it like any political baddie would be. We're wishing him a speedy, full recovery. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "We didn't realize we were making memories. We just knew we were having fun." Happy Friday. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfreemedia. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour.
Broadcasting from Oklahoma.